Balancing act, juggling work and home to create the perfect work-life balance. Just how are you keeping up? Weekend Business Report starts right now. Good evening and welcome to the show. I'm Keneal Gale. Workplace wellness is not often spoken about, but it's extremely critical in a fast-paced world where not many in creating that perfect work-life balance. So, how can this be achieved? We're seeking some answers in a bit, but before that, here is Andrew Laidley with your first WBR News Roundup. Andrew.
Thanks, Keneal. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett says the tourism sector is beginning to play a greater role globally in helping to grow economies. Why there has been greater focus on maximizing the sector in Jamaica, which has been yielding good results. More in this report.
According to Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, tourism is fast for economies across the globe. He says it's particularly evident in Jamaica.
Tourism is today the largest industry in the world, surpassing finance, manufacturing, and the it contributes 10% of global GDP, and that's the only area in which it comes behind any, because finance is still 19%.
Mr. Bartlett argues that the Caribbean may be considered the most tourist-dependent region in the world, as in some cases, tourism contributes up to 70% of GDP.
We are the most tourism-dependent region on earth. Of the 28 countries in the Caribbean, including English-speaking, Anglophone, Francophone, Dutch, and so on, 16 of those 28 countries have GDP dependence of 50% and more. And 79 countries in the world have dependence on tourism beyond 10%.
In the meantime, Minister Bartlett says tourism in Jamaica continues to thrive, with evidence of record arrival numbers each month.
Between January and June of this year, we welcome a total of 2,165,030 visitors, a record. An increase of 3.9% over the same period last year. I'll tell you that the last 3 months, April, May, and June, have averaged 10% arrival for stopover visitors, a record of any sort in the history of Jamaica.
The Consumer Affairs Commission, CAC, says it hopes to complete the verification of the 382 claims submitted by motorists who were affected by contaminated gasoline in late 2015 by the end of this month. Chairman Kent Gammon says a special technical committee established by the CAC to evaluate the complaints has completed verification of 224 or 60% of the claims received. He was speaking at the CAC's quarterly media briefing at the Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture and Fisheries in New Kingston yesterday. The committee is headed by representatives of the Island Traffic Authority (ITA) and includes personnel from the Hard Trust NTA and the Jamaican German Automotive School JAGAS. Some $32 million in compensation is being sought by the CAC on behalf of affected consumers from the petroleum marketing companies whose stations locations where gasoline was sourced. Mr. Gammon said once the committee completes the validation exercise, discussions will resume with the companies in anticipation of a settlement within a few months. Chairman of the Special Economic Zone Authority, Mitri Siaga, says the authority is now focused on regulating businesses in the free zones. He was a guest on BATV's business discussion show On Point. More in this report.
Mitri Siaga says one of the authority's first responsibilities is to regulate the 183 free zone businesses that were operating under the repealed Free Zones Act.
Get them in order, make sure that they're doing what they should be doing. The bigger picture, and I guess phase 2 we could call it, is to promote, manage, regulate, and run the entire authority of economic zones in Jamaica. Now we have to build them before we can manage and run them. Okay. And we really don't have them in place.
He says the introduction of the Special Economic Zones regime was as a result of issues the World Trade Organization, WTO, had with the free zones.
The free zone had certain stipulations, which was that you had to export 85% of of the work that you did in the free zones, and you got certain benefits for that. The WTO frowned upon that and thought that we were giving special incentives to people who are exporting and selling into other markets. So the government, in their wisdom, decided to move to the Special Economic Zone regime.
Meanwhile, Mr. Siaga says the country will have to start developing clusters of manufacturing companies around which more zones can be built.
At this point, we're trying to stay away as much as we can from standalone special economic zones. Okay. Some of the BPO sectors that fall into that category do fit into standalones, and we'll work with them. But really, the objective is to have areas within which we can develop like clusters, parks. So that the idea is that if you are manufacturing, let's say this table, the person who is manufacturing the standoffs for the table are located close by. Right.
But he says having the SEZ authority will greatly benefit the growth agenda of the country. He says it could influence how people will invest in Jamaica.
If we develop a world-class authority with good regulations, with reasonable fees, with good benefits to investors, what it will do is it will set a platform for major investors to come in and to develop their businesses. You see, what Jamaica has, Dennis, is location.
I'll have more news later. For now, Camille, it's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. Workplace wellness programs aren't as popular in Jamaica and the Caribbean as they are in North America. But there's now a push for that to change as employees become more health conscious. In a fast-paced world, not many people have the time to pause and enjoy the fruits of their labor. Feeling burnt out is easy, especially if your job is not fulfilling. That is why Dr. Johan White says more workplaces need to create an environment where employees are able to function optimally.
Workplace wellness, or the more formal term for it is occupational health, is a well-developed field. There's a lot of research on best practices in the workplace, the strategies for promoting health in the workplace, and that also impact life outside of the workplace setting. Whereas in Jamaica, for example, there's only been recent efforts over the past few years to have, for example, a law that addresses, workplace wellness or safety and health issues for employees, for example, and that law is still, in the process of being formalized.
So what really is workplace wellness?
It's a comprehensive program that involves not just efforts to prevent the development of disease like chronic diseases like diabetes or hypertension, for example, or injuries or safety issues in the workplace, but it has to do with communication strategies, employee engagement so that employees feel like they're a part of the process, and it helps to shape the health promoting strategies in their environment that comes back to impact on their well-being and also their ability to contribute to the organization. It also encompasses involvement of the leadership of the organization. So it's a very comprehensive effort. It's not an ad hoc program where you have a marathon once per year, or you have a health clinic or a health fair once per year where your employees and their families line up, you do your blood sugar checks. That a lot of effort is put into programs like those, but they may not be the best use of resources for an organization.
Dr. White says employers should pay closer attention to the mental wellness of employees.
When we talk about stress and mental health, those conditions have, unfortunately, a stigma to it, and that contributes to or not addressing those issues or being proactive with mental health issues. And it's a real challenge in the workplace. It's a real challenge in life. And a lot of it is related to stress, but a good or an effective workplace wellness program will have already thought about the needs, whether the stress levels in the organization or a particular unit. So by getting feedback from your employees about the challenges that they face on a day-to-day basis, if you truly do make the effort to engage your employees, then you'll get that feedback about the stressors that they face, what are the challenges that they face inside the workplace as well as outside the workplace. So even though you spend a significant, for some people, most of their life in the workplace setting, you also have to go home to your family, and what happens in the home can affect your performance at work, and what happens at work can affect your performance at home.
But workplace wellness programs aren't cheap, so is it really worth the investment?
Many organizations, as is the reality, will be concerned primarily about the money that these programs cost. But the evidence is clear that, for example, programs in the United States, for example, or companies that have won some kind of award or recognition for their workplace wellness programs and best practices, actually perform better in terms of the stock valuation and dividends returns for their investors. So there's clear scientific evidence in publications that track the numbers that demonstrate that companies who have comprehensive programs leading to some form of recognition, either by a professional body or a state agency, for example, for their programs, actually do better.
Dr. White is therefore urging employers to get outside help to better evaluate the needs of their specific workplace.
If you really want to make a meaningful impact on your program and the health of your employees, then you want to get somebody who is objective, and that person can come in, help you with evaluating or doing a baseline assessment of your program, engage your employees, and then use these instruments such as from the HERO organization I just mentioned, or even from the US Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They actually have a workplace wellness scorecard. So a health promotion specialist could help you to complete those measurement tools and to give you feedback on the state or the health of your organization in terms of your health promotion efforts, and help you to devise a program to fill those gaps.
Jason Muyong tells us what's happening in company news after the break. Then later, is your favorite song bitter or sweet? The taste, that is. A Japanese company wants to help you taste the rhythm. That's later. More Weekend Business Report after this break. Welcome back to Weekend Business Report. Here is Jason Muyong with this week's company news.
Mailpack, a local e-commerce syndicate, says it's developed a suite of unique tools and services which will revolutionize e-commerce in Jamaica. According to the company, at the core of the new Mailpack platform is a unique landed price tool developed through an API integration with Amazon and other leading web stores. The company says the tool instantly provides shoppers with an all-inclusive price for any item that they find online. Grace Kennedy Money Services has launched a microinsurance solution dubbed Remit Care. The insurance product covers your remittances by providing a lump sum payment to your loved ones in case you suffer bodily injuries, permanent or temporary disability, or accidental death. Grace Kennedy Group CEO Don Webby says remittances significantly contribute to the island's GDP, and it's important that local companies find ways to secure these funds. The government is to continue withdrawing $11.4 billion annually from the National Housing Trust to support the budget for the next 4 years. The legislation was passed in the House of Representatives. The National Housing Trust bill was piloted by Minister of Finance and the Public Service Audley Shaw, who said the government has decided to continue the withdrawal as one of the revenue measures adopted to support its budget for fiscal year 2017-18.
Thanks a lot, Jason. Let's now take a look at the numbers from the major stock markets around the world. Andrew Laidley has more news for you after the break, so stay with us. Welcome back to Weekend Business Report. Here is Andrew Laidley with more of the top business news stories BATV covered this week.
In her final TV interview, outgoing president and CEO of the Jamaica Public Service, JPS, said the company has been strident in combating electricity theft despite having to battle with the issue over the years. Ms. Tomlin gave a special exit interview to BATV. Anthony Morgan reports.
Kelly Tomlin says although she's proud to have introduced a community renewal program targeting those stealing electricity, there is more to be done.
It's not where I want it to be. And I think that again comes to some mindsets that I have encountered. I've been in these communities and I have been told I'm never paid for energy, I'm never going to pay for it. So if you believe that, it's going to be hard. But what I'm proud of is that we do have a community renewal program led by Marilyn McDonald, doing great work, going out and meeting with people. You may have saw me at Majesty Gardens the other day, where people are getting energy for the first time. So this is a slow-moving bus. Out of that, we've looked at it differently. We have all kinds of options now.
She's not proud of how slow the JPS is seeing results in the electricity theft fight, but the company is starting to have a deeper partnership with the government, which should assist.
I think we're starting to do it now, but you have to have a deeper partnership with the government. One thing that we did get accomplished is there's a much stiffer penalty, jail time, a much stiffer financial penalty. Judges are now implementing that penalty. Before, you could be stealing $20,000 a month and you get fined $10,000. Well, that's just good business. You keep stealing. But today we see the law really being enforced, which we're proud of, and we're working closer with the government because it will take us. And I know there's politicians have to be elected, so there is a challenge for them to really be really hard on electricity theft. But I think we're building that partnership. I would have gone harder, faster.
The outgoing JPS president points out that while the company has instituted harsh measures to prevent electricity theft, it will take some time to fully get rid of it.
I think we're very strident. We've studied every country. We've gone to every country in the world. We don't arrest people. We can't arrest people. There's probably not enough jail space for the number of people that are stealing. So we've put what we can in place. We put detection to see better and better who is stealing. Still taking down illegal wires, but we also have higher technology. We have analytical teams that we've added that are getting better and better. So we've done a lot, but you have the amount of theft that we have in Jamaica. Like every country that we visited told us, it takes 10 years, and we're in year 5. So we have 5 more years to go.
The government, in collaboration with Japan, launched a $700,000 plastic waste management project this week. Here's more.
Darrell Vaz says the waste management project has several components which will assist the country in advancing the national waste management agenda.
Of particular note is the development of a regulatory impact assessment for all types of plastic, which will assist the government in identifying the appropriate regulatory instrument or approaches to govern the management of specific plastic products, including plastic bags, PET bottles, and styrofoam.
He says the Gully project is one aspect to be focused on under the project.
We will institute a comprehensive waste management program within the communities that run along one of the gullies which empty into the Kingston Harbour. The project will include a sustainable livelihood component along with the introduction of collection, disposal mechanisms, as well as intensive public education and awareness program. I strongly believe that this project, valued at $700,000 US, or approximately 90 million Jamaican dollars,
Meanwhile, Minister Vaz points out that there is great value in waste. He says the country can also benefit by having environmentally friendly waste management practices.
The Waste Management Conference, which is being held in Kingston this week, is an excellent opportunity to share best practices, expertise, and technologies within our region. As SIDS, we have similar challenges and experiences which make it important that small island development states are actively innovating and developing and implementing mechanisms and processes which can effectively address these issues.
That's all the WBR News Roundup for this week. Camille, it's back to you.
Thanks a lot, Andrew. When we come back, many people say some songs are bittersweet, but this Japanese company is going all out to prove it. Get ready to taste your tune. We'll explain after the break. Welcome back to Weekend Business Report. A Japanese company has created a jukebox-inspired juice maker that aims to let music lovers taste the sound of a range of songs. Angela Moore reports.
Your favorite music can now be remixed into a tasty drink. Japanese company Nomura has a new gadget that lets music lovers taste songs. Squeeze Music is a juice maker. It blends a glass of juice according to the mood of a song. Happy songs produce a sweet drink. Jazz lovers will taste a bitter drink. This is how it works. The song's waveforms are analyzed by a computer, and 5 feelings from the music are assigned a flavor. Happy, exciting, romantic, sentimental, and sad are converted into sweet, sour, astringent, salty, and bitter tastes respectively. And then they're blended into a juice drink.
I like this tune and have listened to it for a long time, but this mixed juice makes me want to listen to it from different perspectives. I really enjoyed the unique blend of the song and juice.
At a music festival, for example, you can enjoy the experience to have a drink blended according to a song while listening to it at the gig. Moreover, we can mix alcohol so it could be served as cocktails in a bar if people want to try that out.
The Squeeze Music developers hope the flavors will sweeten your taste for music.
And that's where we have to leave it for this week's show. On behalf of the entire Weekend Business Report team, I'm Camille. See you next time.